What you perceive as reality is only the tip of the iceberg, a tiny fraction of what actually exists every day. You walk through this world seeing only what your physical senses allow you to grasp, ignoring the vast dimensions that exist right in front of you, invisible but present. This limitation is not a mistake or defect, but a protective mechanism. The universe holds certain truths until we are ready to understand them. Imagine if you could see all spectrums of light, hear all sound, frequencies, perceive every energy field that surrounds you. Your nervous system would collapse under such an avalanche of information. That is why there are what we could call cosmic veils, filters that show us only what we can process at our current level of consciousness. These veils are not imposed from outside, but are part of our own perceptual structure. They are like the layers of an onion that are peeled back as we evolve spiritually. And when one of these veils is lifted, what was previously invisible suddenly manifests itself before us with crystal clear clarity, transforming our understanding of the world and, of course, ourselves. The question is not whether other realities exist, but what happens when we are ready to see them. This awakening is not random nor reserved for a few. It is the natural destiny of all evolving consciousness. We know that there is an eternal dance between the observer and the observed, an intimate relationship that determines what we call reality. We know that we are not passive spectators of the world. We are active participants in its creation. Every observation is a creative act where our consciousness meets the universe at a unique and unrepeatable point of contact. Your mind, more than a receiver of information, is a sophisticated filter that selects, interprets, and organizes sensory data according to your beliefs, expectations, and established thought patterns. What you see is not the world as it is, but the world as you are. It is a projection conditioned by your personal history, your upbringing, your traumas, and your moments of enlightenment. We can stand side by side, looking in the same direction. And I assure you that we will definitely not see the same thing once again. We do not see the world as it is, we see it as we are. This phenomenon is notably reminiscent of the discoveries of Jacobo Grinberg, who proposed that the reality we experience arises from the interaction between our consciousness and what he called a pre-existing informational matrix. According to his theory, we do not perceive the world directly, but rather co-create a coherent representation from an underlying field of potentiality. When you look at a flower, for example, you are not seeing the flower itself, but your interpretation of it. The flower as an independent object and the flower as a subjective experience are two aspects of one and the same indivisible reality. It is this intertwining that makes our perception fundamentally dual, objective and subjective simultaneously. This duality explains why two people can experience the same event in radically different ways. They are not seeing distinct realities, they are co-creating personalized versions of the same matrix of possibilities. The universe responds to your level of consciousness by showing you exactly what you are ready to see at each moment of your evolution. When you understand this participatory nature of perception, you begin to take responsibility for the world that you experience. You are no longer a victim of an external reality, but a conscious co-creator of your life experience. In other words, if you don't like what you see, change the way you see it. There are moments in life where the veil between the seen and the unseen begins to thin. Your consciousness begins to subtly expand, and the universe responds by showing you signs that you are ready to perceive deeper layers of reality. These signs don't usually manifest as dramatic revelations, but as whispers that require conscious attention to be noticed. One of the first indicators is the appearance of synchronicities in your life, those meaningful coincidences that defy the laws of probability. You think of someone and receive their call seconds later. You repeatedly encounter the same number or symbol, or you receive exactly the information you needed at exactly the right moment. These synchronicities are not random accidents. They constitute a language through which the universe communicates with you. Recurring patterns become evident when you are prepared. Similar situations, people, and lessons appear again and again. Until you grasp the underlying message, it's as if life is presenting you with the same exam in different formats. Until you manage to pass with complete understanding, your intuition also intensifies. You begin to know things without knowing how you know them. This inner wisdom manifests as a quiet certainty that transcends rational thought. It doesn't need to be justified or explained. It's simply another telltale sign. It's a growing sense of interconnectedness. The barriers that once separated your experience from the rest of the world begin to dissolve. You perceive an invisible web that connects all beings and events and your place within it. The vast web of relationships becomes clearer. You will also notice that time seems to behave differently. You experience moments of intense present where past and future fade away and only the now exists in all its fullness. In these states of presence, reality takes on a crystalline quality, as if you were seeing it for the first time, free from the usual filters of your mind. These signs indicate that your consciousness is evolving and preparing you to receive deeper revelations about the nature of existence. There is also a precise instant when ordinary perception cracks like breaking glass, revealing a whole new vista behind its surface. This moment does not always arrive with flashes of enlightenment. It often presents itself in the stillness of a seemingly ordinary instant that suddenly becomes extraordinary. The first time you see beyond the veil. The experience can be as subtle as it is profound. Perhaps you are gazing at a sunset, and suddenly you are no longer merely an observer of beauty, but feel an inseparable part of it. The boundaries between your being and the sunset blur, and for a fleeting instant, you understand that there never was any separation. This awakening is rarely an event, unique and definitive, rather like a gradual sunrise where the light slowly reveals the landscape that was always there. Each revelation opens the door to a deeper understanding in a process that unfolds organically over time. What characterizes these experiences is a sense of recognition. It's not so much that you're discovering something new, but rather remembering a truth that you always knew deep within you. It's a reunion with your essence, with that part of you that transcends the limitations of personal identity. The awe that accompanies this awakening is similar to that of a child seeing the ocean for the first time. It's a mixture of reverence, humility, and gratitude at the vastness of what you can now perceive. The known reality is transformed not because it has changed, but because you have changed, and in that change, all is renewed. I'd like to ask you, now, have you experienced moments where you felt like the universe was showing you something special, something reserved just for you? Perhaps it was a synchronicity so perfect it took your breath away, or a revelation that changed your perspective forever. Tell me if you have felt that, even for a short moment, you become one with the whole, your mind. No, it is simply a product of brain activity. It is a field of influence that extends beyond the physical boundaries of your body. Every thought you hold, every belief you nurture, every emotion you cultivate generates ripples in the very fabric of reality. You're not thinking about the world, you are thinking the world. This creative power of consciousness does not operate in a chaotic or random manner. It follows coherent patterns that respond to held intention and clarity of vision. When you consistently hold a thought or belief, it acts as a magnet, attracting circumstances, people, and experiences resonant with its frequency. It is not magic or vague mysticism. It is a fundamental principle of how consciousness interacts with the universal field of possibilities. When you understand that your mind is a creative instrument, you begin to take responsibility for the conscious and even unconscious thoughts you are projecting, what you assume about yourself onto others, and about how the world works. It acts like a seed that eventually blossoms into your manifested experience. This radically transforms your relationship with reality. You are no longer an observer of external circumstances, but a participant in their creation. Get that through your head. The boundary between internal and external is thus revealed to be a convenient illusion. But limiting your awareness is not within the world. The world is within your awareness. Restrictive mental patterns are like invisible chains that limit your perception and experience of reality. These patterns, formed over years of conditioning, create a conceptual prison that we mistake for the limits of the world. But these walls are illusory, built of repetitive thoughts and unexamined beliefs. Breaking free from these self-imposed limitations begins with recognizing their fictional nature. They are not absolute truths, but stories we have told ourselves so many times that we have mistaken them for reality itself. By questioning these dominant narratives, we create fissures in their apparent solidity, allowing new light to penetrate our awareness. The conscious imagination emerges then as a transformative tool of incalculable power. Unlike escapist fantasy, the conscious imagination is a deliberate act of creation from a state of mindful presence. When you imagine from this space, you are not daydreaming. You are communicating directly with the field of infinite possibilities, imprinting new patterns that will gradually manifest in your experience. The inner silence represents another crucial portal to expanded perceptions in the spaces between thoughts. In the stillness that arises when the talking mind quiets, a deeper intelligence is revealed, transcending the limitations of conceptual thought. This silent wisdom knows no barriers or obstacles. It directly perceives the interconnected nature of all existence. Transcending limitations does not mean rejecting material reality or denying the human experience. On the contrary, it involves fully embracing our embodied condition while simultaneously recognizing that we are infinitely more than we appear to be. This living paradox is precisely the threshold where the universe begins to reveal its deepest secrets to us. The reality you experience day to day is not some external, independent structure, but an accurate reflection of your inner state, like a crystalline lake that reflects back the image of whoever looks into its waters. The universe is constantly showing you aspects of yourself that would otherwise remain invisible. This reflective quality of the cosmos is not metaphorical, but literal in the deepest sense. When you observe conflict in the external world, you are perceiving conflict within your own consciousness. When you experience harmony and beauty, you are connecting with those same qualities within your being. There is no real separation between the observer and the observed. They are two aspects of one unified reality. It unfolds to know itself. This principle explains why the universe seems to know exactly when you are ready to see beyond surface appearances. It is not that the cosmos possesses a separate intelligence assessing your level of development. It is that your own expansion of consciousness automatically reconfigures what you are able to perceive as your internal filters transform. The reflected reality changes correspondingly. The path to expanded perception requires maintaining an attitude of constant openness. Rigid certainty is the enemy of discovery. It is in the spaces of not knowing that the deepest revelations find their home. It cultivates the disposition of an eternal beginner, willing to abandon even your most cherished certainties when a larger truth presents itself to you. Remember that what the universe reveals to you when you are ready is not external information, but aspects of your own infinite nature that have lain dormant. Awakening is, in essence, a process of remembering who you truly are. The possibilities that await beyond our current perceptual limits are literally infinite. Worlds within worlds, dimensions intertwined with other dimensions, levels of reality that defy our current understanding. These realms are not unattainable, are your natural inheritance, as a conscious being in a conscious universe when you are ready to see, look within as always. Receive a big hug on behalf of the whole team. For today, I say goodbye, wishing you all the best in the world and thanking you for your company. See you soon. Stay awake.